Children want to do well in order to please their parents and receive their parents' love. Isn't that true? So the question is, how can we please our parents? Hi everyone. The title of this message is, I shall give you 70 garments, the power of Hyojung to move the heart of heaven. Of course, anything good that we do well can bring joy to our parent. But the most precious thing, the most wonderful thing we can do is to touch the deepest part of our parent's heart. And there is something within the parent's heart that they do not express to the children. The children must find it for themselves. In fact, I imagine that for many parents throughout human history, this part of their heart is often ignored. In other words, it is not easy to find this part of our parents' heart. Most of the time, parents can overlook this because of their deep, sacrificial love for their children. Parents are committed to investing everything for their children, no matter what. On the other side, it is common for children to feel that parents are not lacking in anything. They already have everything they need. But there is a much deeper realm of love to find within the parent-child relationship. So we can say that the love that we offer as children to our parents is filial piety. However, there is a difference between filial piety in the form of obedience or filial piety in the form of Hyojung. Both are important, but Hyojung is more evolved and higher form of love. My personal experience with Hyojung is like the desire to make our parent happy without expectation of anything in return. In other words, of course, we want to be loved and recognized by our parents, but we do not offer Hyojung from the motivation to receive. Instead, we give without desire for personal reward. In other words, if we offer Hyojung truly, we already feel the reward if we make our parent happy. The more happy our parent, the greater the reward. Therefore, even if we consider from a selfish point of view, the closer we get to tapping into that deepest areas of our parents' heart, the more touched they will be, and the more joy we will feel as a result. The reward is right there. Okay, a little later, I'm going to share with you a miracle story. I'm going to give you some words that our true mother gave us specifically for Asia Pacific 1. But first, let me share with you briefly a story that True Mother shared with the top leaders on April 27, when she called us up to Cheonjeonggung unexpectedly for tea. Actually, she invited us up there to boast about something. And I will just tell you briefly what she said. She was talking about after the Korean War in the early 1960s, everything they had was used for the mission, as we know. We mentioned that in the last message. But True Mother was this beautiful, young, newlywed woman. Normally, such a girl would have personal dreams and wishes, ambitions, but she had no such things because she was 100% focused on God's will. So Mother mentioned as Hyojinim grew up, he started to comment on how beautiful she was, telling her that he was sorry that she didn't have beautiful clothes. Mommy, you're so beautiful. You should have beautiful clothes and beautiful things. Actually, at 4 years old, he promised her that when he grew up, he would buy her beautiful things. Actually, as Hyojinim grew up, he went through a lot of difficulties. But every year, he would give his mother a ring or a necklace on her anniversary. He kept his promise that he made at age 4. True Mother said that he practiced what he said. But True Mother eventually gave most of those gifts away because she's constantly giving away her things. So, here is what just happened on April 27. Shincheonnim, together with UPA students, put their hearts together and bought True Mother a diamond ring. True Mother said, "After receiving a diamond ring from my grandchildren, I cried with joy. I was moved to tears because heaven really remembers me and is always by my side. These children, who I invested so much into, could connect to my heart." Honestly, when I look at the beautiful design, it looks like a beautiful flower. It is the heart of their love. And yesterday, after receiving this token of love, I felt like I should not give this away. So I kept it and put it on, and I really wanted to show you. True Mother was boasting to us about this beautiful thing that her children did. She was crying as she shared this story. Not tears of pain, but tears of joy. Honestly, I have never seen True Mother express such emotions. She was, with one hand she was wiping her eyes, and the other hand she was showing us this beautiful ring that moved her so much. And she said, "The grandchildren gave me something that even you couldn't think of. They are precious. Do you understand? You need to repent." She said, we need to repent. Why do we need to repent? Actually, she said it to us. She said it to the leaders very clearly. You need to repent. So we have to ask ourselves, why did she say this? In one sense, we can say we need to repent because we didn't think of such a gift. We didn't understand what was in the depths of Mother's heart that really would move her. Because again, this was connected also to her son, Hyojinim. She connected it there. So you can imagine. But also you could say maybe we need to repent because we couldn't take care well of the environment for true children, or we couldn't keep our word even though Hyojinim was able to keep his word. In other words, not only should we have the heart to understand what is in True Mother's heart, but keep our word, keep our promise. So really, there's many more things that as leaders we need to reflect about this story that she shared with us. In one sense, she was boasting about her ring, but on the other hand, she was sharing with us a simple example of what is there in the midst of her deep heart. It is not actually about the expense of the thing, but the heart. And in this case, not only was it a precious thing that her grandchildren and all of the UPA cadets did for her, but it also reminded her of Hyojinim. Can you imagine what part of her heart that would touch? So much so that she called all of the leaders up for an unscheduled meeting to show us in tears. And her final sentence was, you need to repent. In fact, she stopped herself saying anything more at that point. She said, I better stop here. I'm sure there's so much more that Mother wants to express, even about that point. Because historically, we have not been able to sufficiently find that part of our true parent's heart. That is what I'm getting at here. Look, history has been a story of misunderstanding our Heavenly Parent. We've misunderstood our relationship with God. Therefore, we have neglected God's heart. True parents are here to help us reconnect in a true relationship with our Heavenly Parent, which we do by relating to them. But even though we may know this in the principle, we have not entirely understood how to relate to them in practice. But this relationship carries the essential root of love that gives life to all of our other relationships. Everything else is connected to this root. If we get this relationship right with God, everything else falls into place. That means we have to do it with true parents. You could say that true parents are here so that we have an opportunity to practice how to love parents truly. This is for the sake of our relationship with God. With God. How does this work? How does this work? Right. Okay, let's go deeper. It is about the power of Hyojung to move the heart of heaven. So, by moving mother's heart, okay, you move the heart of heaven. There is nothing more precious that a human being can do than move the heart of our Heavenly Parent. That's not just because God has been a suffering God. That was literally our purpose of life from the very beginning anyway. We are born to bring joy to God. So what shall we do? What shall we do? Well, what we should do is look at what true parents do. So what do true parents do? They constantly resonate within the realm of God's heart as one. So they can only consider what God feels and then they act accordingly. That is how we should be also. And that is how we should be with our true parents. The question is, what is in our true mother's heart, and how can I help liberate her burden or bring her joy to a part of her heart that has been maybe misunderstood or neglected? What can I do here and now that will bring joy to our true parents? This must be our daily question. Okay, soon I'm going to share with you some amazing news that gives us an example of this. But first, I want to share with you another story, okay? So, when True Mother appointed my family to Asia, I had absolutely no idea why or what I would do. Until that time, even when I received an unexpected mission, I had some sense of why I was chosen for it. In other words, I had some idea of what, I would do. But in this case of this last mission, I felt like I was floating spiritually, and I didn't know where to put my feet in order to march forward. That means I literally had no concepts at all. I experienced a vacuum. In that vacuum, all I could do was pray. Open my ears, open my eyes. What answer do you think I was looking for? I've got this huge mission in Asia. I don't even know where it is. I don't know the languages, the cultures. I don't know the nations. I don't know where the headquarters is. I don't know anything. And I don't know why I've been chosen to go there. Why me? And what is it that God wants me to do? I had no concepts. So what answer do you think I was looking for? simple. My question was, God, what is it that you'll have me do? What do our true parents need from me there? You know, True Mother does not change leadership because she expects the same results as before. So what is in the heart of our True Mother that needs to be understood? My own personal concepts or ideas can often lead me astray from what heaven is looking for, actually. So I have to constantly reorient myself towards unity vertically. But in this case, I had no concepts. My mind was empty. I was becoming totally surrendered. And after 21 days, there was a shift. You know, around that time, I received a memo from IHQ asking to report how many of True Mother's autobiographies I had distributed in my new region. It was only a few days after the appointment. So when I checked, I found out that we had not been able to distribute very many at all because perhaps of the many language barriers. We have at least 18 languages in Asia Pacific 1, but we did not have a serious plan in place to translate her memoir. I believe 1 or 2 countries had started some work, but frankly, it was not a high priority. So when I considered what Mother was asking and what we were doing, I saw a gap. Yes, there was a gap. You know, during our first meetings with leaders to discuss the possibility of translating the book, it seemed as if it was too difficult without a lot of money and time and professional support. But we had no money. And frankly, I felt we had no time. Also, we were a region that was used to being dependent on support, quite frankly. Now, it is normal in a pioneering phase, but it is very difficult to break out of that dependency. And that dependency can keep you stuck there indefinitely if you are not careful. But when I was at home in New Jersey, crying when I considered how difficult it was for our members in parts of Asia, I had just been serving as the president of the church in USA. And although America has given some money overseas, I felt ashamed to learn that there were hundreds of members, for example, in Nepal, who had to return to their homes when we lost the centers, and many of them were out of reach with no internet connection. This is after 1 year of COVID-19. I was wondering, how were they able to even eat? I was crying to think that in America, we might spend $200 or $300 just on a poster, when that is actually enough to give a whole family internet connection for 1 year in a remote village up some mountain in Nepal. So when I looked at our situation practically, I knew, frankly, I knew that we were in serious trouble. I knew that you were suffering. So I prayed to God, what can I do? What can we do? And I felt heaven's voice telling me that the most important thing to do now for Asia is to connect each member to True Mother's love. And yet we don't even have her book distributed. We don't even know her life story yet. Through that, heaven guided me to do 2 practical things. Number 1, read True Mother's autobiography together, page by page, to reflect much more deeply on True Mother's life and connect to her heart more personally, more deeply. Also, because we have been preparing this as a weekly regional message, and we needed to translate each message into multiple languages, we knew that through this project, we would be able to build up a volunteer translation team and some momentum to eventually translate the whole book. That is why since the beginning of November, 2020, we have been doing that. Then finally, in December, I set the goal that 5 languages must be translated by True Parents' birthday in February. And there is no budget to support it. That's what I said. It's very difficult. This forced a whole new way of thinking for our leaders, and all of a sudden volunteers popped up and labored incredibly hard in some cases. And we made not only 5, but we've completed 7 languages, Asia. 7. And I am right here, right now in Korea, ready, if given the chance, to give them to our true mother personally. Guys, look, here they are. Okay? Here they are. We have 7 different languages translated into True Mother's into their words from True Mother's life. In fact, 2 of these nations didn't have any words of our true parents. Anything printed. No books, nothing. Until now. Now, for those 2 countries, the very first words from heaven, the very first malsum, heavenly words, is actually going to be True Mother's life story. I think there's a big meaning in this. And it makes me wonder how many more countries around the world we don't even yet have a pamphlet or some even divine principle yet. Now, look, in case you are still wondering whether or not this was a good idea, let me share this. When I arrived here in Korea at the Azalea apartment where True Mother is hosting our top leaders, the first thing I did was to open the Holy Scripture box set. You know, the one with beautiful red lacquer and mother of pearl crane decorations with the 2 doors that open? I opened the box set, but instead of seeing the Chansangyang, Pyeonghwagyang, Champumogyang, I saw something else there. What I saw there was True Mother's autobiography. 3 of them. One in Korean, one in Japanese, and one in English. This is not random. Every single cup and plate and pillow and piece of furniture in this apartment, in these apartments, is determined and decided by True Mother. So I know that especially the most sacred box in the apartment is whatever is there is not an accident. So I asked the staff that was with me why these books were there. And they answered that Mother had given the instruction to replace those books in the holy box set. So I asked, when? And they said, about 4 or 5 months ago. In other words, you can see what Mother does, what Mother says. Where Mother puts her hand is very important. And so we know that from Mother choosing to replace the Holy Scriptures, even if temporarily, with her own life story means that this is what is going on right now. It means this is what Mother wants us to read right now. This is the center of the providence right now. Certainly in terms of our education, in terms of our own transformation. And isn't that what we've been saying in Asia for 5 months now? So I think on this point, we are on the right page, so to speak. We are one with Mother's heart about this. Yes. So congratulations. Okay, there was a second thing that heaven guided me to do. And it was regarding our attitude to finances. So when Yumiko and I prayed about this, I was guided to do the unexpected. We know that the financial situation, I knew that actually what we need in Asia is lots of support. What our members need right now from us is to find a way to bring lots of money, to help them set up their internet connections, to help them keep their centers that they're losing, to help them feed their children that surely they're suffering right now. All these things were going through my mind. And in that place of prayer, asking God, how can we help? I was guided to do the unexpected. I was guided to ask every single member of our community to donate something. To donate something. Especially, this is what my original mind received. Especially those who had nothing and depended on support. In other words, this wasn't about raising money. This was about a complete revolution of heart centered on Hyojang. So I was guided to especially ask those who had nothing and in fact usually depended on support. I was told to ask every man, woman, and child, everyone who is connected to the movement, even those who may have left or resting, our ambassadors for peace, our VIPs, everyone who might consider themselves a part of the Heavenly Parent Holy Community. And to consider this at that time was not simple. This was just about 21 days after my new appointment, actually. And I didn't yet have deep relationships. I hadn't yet been to Asia. I didn't know our leaders well. I still didn't even know what was really going on in these nations deeply at all. I still am learning. So, it's not simple. It's not like I could just call a meeting then and say, oh, I've had this, revelation. We need to now, raise a heavenly offering for Mother. I couldn't just blurt it out. I first had to learn more about each nation, and I had to work with the leaders. We also needed to lay down the foundation of heart through reading True Mother's book and offering conditions. Eventually, by December, I started to share more frankly with the leaders about what we needed to do. And because of the fact that our precious leaders in Asia Pacific One completely united, miracles occurred. So, you all know that from January 1st to 21st, 2021, we were able to raise a $90,000 gift as a Hyojang love offering for True Mother for the sake of a heavenly unified Korea from the Heavenly Parent Holy Community of Asia Pacific One. That was the actual title of the offering, and it was the first of its kind. True Mother did not ask for this. IHQ did not ask for this. This was our Hyojang offering, seeking to find the place in our Mother's heart that was not easy to find. It's not just simply, giving a gift or, what is it? Even connecting it to Heavenly Unified Korea had deep meaning. And if we are to calculate this by GDP, it is equivalent to something closer to $500,000. But it's not actually about the money at all. It's almost like the money is a means or a vehicle through which to substantially convey the intentions of our hearts. And because True Mother knows that we are under very difficult circumstances, the value of your effort inside the heart of Mother is worth more like $7 billion. Actually, the Hyojang heart of a child is priceless. When we're able to move, when our children move our hearts in that way, it's priceless. And guys, you did it. You did it. It was incredible. Incredible. So in a moment, I will share with you an incredible miracle that has happened because of this. And I will share with you the words that True Mother has given especially for you in Asia Pacific One at this time. But first, I will read to you. I feel this is maybe the best way to really kind of encapsulate the nature of what we offered to True Mother. I will read to you the report that I gave to True Mother about this HJ Love offering at the end of January. I have not read this to anyone. Only True Mother and her staff have heard this report. but I want to share it with you because, Asia, it comes from you. Okay? I sent the following letter to True Mother along with 20 pages of your testimonies and the full name list of everyone who donated to put on Mother's altar. So, let me now read to you the letter that I wrote to True Mother representing all of our family members in Asia Pacific 1 for the sake of giving this offering. Okay, let us read. Dearest, beloved True Mother, how are you, our beloved mother? We are thinking about you and praying for you daily with a longing heart to meet you. As you know, I am on tour in Cambodia, and I am looking forward to sharing more about my experiences and our determinations soon. However, first, to start this new year with a renewed heart of Hyojang, we would like to offer you a gift on behalf of Asia Pacific 1. Dearest True Mother, who is busily working for all of humanity, please allow me a few moments to share with you the motivation in our hearts within this humble gift. When you called my family to move to Asia, I did not know why, but I knew it would be a blessing. I am sure that when you look upon us, you see so much more than we can see. And I know our minds are so small compared to our true parents' mind. I humbly confess before our wondrous beloved daughter of heaven that my vision is so limited that I cannot even compare it to yours. What can we do other than dive into the whitewater rapids of God's providence and hold on to you tightly? This is my only strategy. As I reported to you directly after our new appointment, I felt a different spirit come over me as my mind rested upon our new mission area of Asia. I heard reports from various members that reached out to me, some of them confiding in me how difficult the situation was due to COVID-19. Not only were several members struggling for survival in the basic sense, but I could feel that the pandemic lockdown was hurting them internally also. I felt a motherly heart come over me. I started to worry about the simple things that we can usually take for granted, like what can they eat? Where are they living? How can we reach them? Do they have an internet connection? Do they at least have a copy of True Parents' words to hold on to? Furthermore, as I started to look more closely at the depleted financial situation of Asia Pacific 1, I could see that there is no way to withstand the continued negative impact of this pandemic. I also discovered that our precious True Mother had already sent a huge gift of motherly love to Asia to support their basic needs. Thank you so much, True Mother, for your unconditional love. But this time, as I prayed about how we can take care of our members, I was asking our Heavenly Parent, how can we become self-sufficient so that we do not need to cause our True Mother concern? How can we feed our members and comfort them so that we can be strong to advance onto this next 7-year course? The answer I received from heaven was the opposite of one's normal expectation. I felt the Spirit guiding me to first ask the members to give. Although it is true that they suffer externally, I felt that the true cause of this external suffering was an internal concept, that we still need help from the outside in order to advance further. After listening to many reports and appeals, and after discussing deeply with my wife Yumiko, I felt that God is now guiding us in Asia Pacific 1 to become more confident in our ability, not only to take care of ourselves, but also to be nations that can take care of others. And that this mindset would absolutely be essential in order for our great foundation to go to the next level. Because of this, starting January 1st of this year, for the first 21 days, we invited all members to offer something to you as a gift. I mentioned to the leaders that everyone who participates in this offering will surely be blessed by heaven according to their heart. I said, let us reach out to all who consider themselves members of the Heavenly Parent Holy Community and invite them to give something to our precious True Mother. Not just by the family unit as we usually do, but each member of the family can be invited to participate. Please even ask your small children. If they are old enough to walk and talk, invite them to participate in this heart of offering to our True Mother. If you feel there are members who have left, please especially reach out to them. If they are VIPs who are used to us taking care of them and feeding them, they should also be invited to give. I did not put a financial goal upon them or restrict their hearts. I did not want to tell them how much it should be. Other than 1 or 2 leaders who needed extra guidance, I only asked that they make an extra effort to reach out to everyone with the joyful heart of Hyojang. The honest truth is that I knew this offering would expose weaknesses in our system. For example, there are so many thousands who have been blessed who we do not have immediate access to because of our manpower and their remoteness and/or lack of digital connectivity. I am so excited to help solve this limitation, and so from now we will strengthen our capacity to communicate effectively and consistently. I am sure that there are many more who would love to give to you, but we need more time to reach them, and also to teach them the heavenly power of Hyojang. Even though we face challenges to organize this, I am so moved by the stories from the field. From the young BC who broke their little piggy bank to help offer all of their savings of $13, to our Sunhack Peace Prize winner, Dr. Gupta, who was so honored to be invited to give something back to you. Please know that every single one of these precious children of true parents were so joyful in their giving because they felt they could in some small way, hopefully, cause our True Mother to smile for a moment, to know how many love you and wish to lift your burden. How can I paint this picture for you? As I tour the countryside of Cambodia, meeting newly blessed families, village chiefs, and district chiefs, I meet with them and bow to True Parents' picture and pray with them. And as I write this report, there is one couple that comes to mind. They live on the side of a busy roadway, and they had gathered together with their village chief and their extended family members to greet us on our journey. We only had a brief time to sit with them. But when it was time to leave, as I stood with them on the dirt floor entrance to their home, the wife offered me a white envelope with just a couple of dollars inside. It is likely that the donation was representing all who were gathered there, but I believe such an offering can be worth $1 million. She offered it with a smile and a humble heart, and all that I could feel was heaven's blessing upon her for realizing the beautiful experience of returning something to our true parents. This was her Hyojang. Another example of an interesting story is when a center leader asked his central figure for $700 to apply to his mission activities. And the central figure said in return, actually, I am here to ask you for a gift. And after explaining to him about our HJ Love Offering, the center leader pulled out all the money he had, which was $200. Now, when I heard this story, I told the leader that the value of that offering was at least equal to $900 because he wanted $700, but instead he gave $200. This simple condition has started to change our mindset. Dearest Mother, the positive responses from this condition are too many to mention, so I have sent along with this gift some reflections from each nation. What I can see are your precious children who are joyfully giving something to you, no matter the amount. But they have reported experiencing such a blessing as a result of starting the new year this way. They feel so grateful to be able to offer something out of their hearts. Beloved True Mother, please accept this very humble offering of $90,000 from our Asia Pacific One family. Even though it is not a nice clean number like $100,000, it is actually more than double what our leaders originally thought was even possible. It is our first official HJ love offering for the sake of a heavenly unified Korea and a heavenly unified world. As the Heavenly Parent Holy Community members of Asia Pacific One, along with this gift and a handful of reflections, we have attached the name list of every single participant to this report to lay on your heavenly offering table. I am sure that the limitations of our hearts will be exposed under the light of your beautiful eyes. But I hope that for a moment you can look beyond our weaknesses and see the heart of our original minds that is seeking to comfort our precious true parents. Even though the physical size of this offering is small, I believe the lessons learned from this offering are priceless. Of course, I wish we could send you more, but with this momentum we will advance with the determination to substantialize existing foundations and expand into new territories with our witnessing activities. I am so grateful to our precious leaders who are working with total unity. So far, we have completed 2 40-day conditions and 1 21-day condition with this offering. And from January 25 to March 5, we are conducting our 3rd 40-day condition, which will be morning hundoke and reflection, based on our True Mother's autobiography via Zoom at the national level in all 20 nations simultaneously. After we complete this next 40-day period, I will guide the leaders to multiply ourselves so that we can reach more and more people exponentially. Dearest beloved True Mother, you have given everything for the sake of humankind. We have already received everything we need from our true parents, yet you continue to guide us and sacrifice for us. Humanity is so blessed that you are here with us, but unless they know this, it will be a crime that we cannot afford to commit. So we will tell all about our precious true parents. We will do it boldly, we will do it with dignity, with confidence, and we will do it with joyful urgency. You are our eternal true mother and the representative of heaven for all of humanity. Therefore, we offer you this humble gift with the hope that heaven can recognize our determination to fulfill our responsibility as owners of Chonilguk by recognizing the burdens that our true parents carry before considering our own burdens. I will repeat this. We will fulfill our responsibilities as owners of Chonilguk by considering the burdens that our true parents carry before considering our own burdens. The truth is that when I hear the testimonies of the members, I can see that heaven has already blessed them and lightened their hearts. We love you, True Mother, and we are grateful for everything you have already given. I am sorry to make such a long report to say a simple thing. The conclusion is, we love you, we are here for you, and we long to bring joy to your heart in everything we do. Thank you, with all of our hearts, Damien and Yumiko Dunkley, all leaders of Asia Pacific One, and all Heavenly Parent Holy Community members of Asia Pacific One. That was the letter that I did my best to package your offering and represent really the meaning of what we were doing so that True Mother could understand. And along with 20 pages, over 20 pages of your testimonies, I think it took a week to translate everything. So honestly, because of the unity of the leaders and the sacrificial heart of our precious members, we were able to give this gift from our hearts without expectation of anything in return, right? Okay, right? That's the whole thing we said, right? That was our Hyojung love offering, meaning we were already happy just to give. That was our happiness, right? Brothers and sisters. So guess what happened? Guess what happened? Now I'm going to share with you something that incredible, unbelievable something, okay? On April 26, 2021, just a few days ago, Mother called up the leaders for tea. It was supposed to be a 2-hour meeting, but it already became 4 hours long. Mother shared some words at the beginning, reminding us how we as leaders need to change first. She reminded us that many leaders failed to understand who she was, but she expects us to be the new wineskins. And there is a lot more that I can share with you about her opening words, but I will not share it right now. We were listening to long reports from each of the leaders who had not been able to see Mother in 14 months. So the meeting was going on. And you think of the leaders bringing their longing to see Mother, longing to report to Mother for over a year. They had so many things to report and feel Mother's love and make her happy, right? And maybe we had like 5 minutes each, but I think each leader might take more than 10 minutes or 15 minutes to report. So we already went way over our time. Finally, it was time to close the meeting, but True Mother called Dr. Yoon over to her table, and it appeared that she motioned him to ask for me to report. So Dr. Yoon allowed 2 more reports ending with me. In other words, we were the last 2 regional presidents that were given an opportunity to report, ending with me. And I honestly did not expect to report. You know, I had many things I could report. I could read the report I had already written. I could read one of the previous reports. I could talk about everything that we've been doing for 5 months. But honestly, I was concerned about the time because I knew Mother was tired and needed to prepare. So what did I report about? Well, and I'm going to get to the really good part later because after I report, something amazing happens, okay? So first, okay, I stand up to give the report, and you've got to understand, when you walk in the room, we're not eating together like usual, okay? Usually we're sitting opposite one another. We can drink tea with it, coffee, and eat together and chit-chat amongst ourselves as leaders, and then at the end, Mother will speak and people will get up and sing. This is usually how it is with True Mother, with, say, 40 or 50 leaders. But this time, because of the COVID-19 social distancing restrictions, Mother was at her head table as usual, with True Children there with her. And then we were sitting in front of her like a classroom style, long white tables, very beautiful, very formal. And we're all there in our suits and ties, but we're there really just sitting and with masks on, And so Mother, like I mentioned, Mother shared some things at the beginning, and they served us tea and coffee, but, like this, just sitting there taking notes. And so when it was my turn to report, the microphone came to me and I stood up in my place. And what I shared was that True Father is amazing. And I loved his singing voice at the Blessing Festival, when we heard his voice. So I shared with True Mother that I'm so proud of True Father. I love True Father so much. He's like the most amazing man in human history. He's accomplished so much. He's the man. But what I reported to Mother in front of all the world leaders was, what I am most proud about our True Father is that he found the only begotten daughter, and he married her, and he loved her. You, True Mother. Because No man in human history was able to do so. And I mentioned that the reason we struggle with one another as children, as siblings, is because we've been in search of mother's love that brings us together. It is mother's love that brings us together. It heals all matters and solves all issues, right? So I mentioned that I am so proud of our leaders and members who had volunteered to translate True Mother's book into 7 languages. I mentioned, how could I possibly initiate any other providence without first deepening our heart with True Mother more and more? How can we advance the providence until we have at least read about her life story? So I ended my testimony, basically, there. I was concerned about time. And I knew Mother would be tired. I didn't say anything about the HJ love offering because that had already been reported. I had reported that in January. That offering had been completed. And we were happy, right? I wasn't waiting for Mother to respond. Because we gave not for the purpose of receiving, but we gave for the purpose of making True Mother happy and moving the heart of heaven. I only really reported about the book translation because that is fresh news, right? That's kind of the thing we just did. However, and this is where it gets interesting, so pay attention, okay? I know it's getting long, but pay attention. Despite being late, True Mother did not let the meeting end there. As Dr. Yoon came back up to the podium to close the meeting, True Mother said, "I want to speak to Damien directly." I'm thinking, wait, what did I hear? I heard my name, So what did Mother say? Okay. Here are the notes of the live translation as I heard it. Out of respect, I have omitted 1 or 2 details, but this is 99% exactly what was recorded and what I heard. Mother is speaking to me directly, and I'm standing in the middle of the room, surrounded by all of our world top leaders, our great leaders, all of my elder brothers, and I'm just the, kind of like the young new guy, who really doesn't know what he's doing. So I'm, oh my God, what is going on? And this is really the entire purpose of this message, by the way. So if you've waited to get to this point, well done. It's a long message. And this, I'm now going to read to you what Mother said, and you need to listen to this as the result of your sacrifice. Okay, please understand also grammatically, it's not perfect because when Hyunuk is translating, the grammatical structure, takes time to be clear. So he adjusts as he goes. But I'm actually going to read it to you exactly like I heard it, okay? From Asia, you've been sending various reports, and I've read all the reports you sent. Until now, Japan has helped Asia a lot financially, and Japan, which had to fulfill its providence. But even in the midst of this difficulty, you invested everything you had, and you helped Japan as well. Japan was able to fulfill its providential mission. Some leaders ask me for funds for activities, and Mother has helped. However, lastly, to you, Damien, I'll give you a special gift. And as you tour around Asia to all of the Asian members, many members are in financial difficulties, and Mother knows that many Asian members are struggling. But among these members, there are many who are really investing themselves completely. There are many. I've heard of the tears of the members. Some people have donated $17, others $7, and when you collected all of that, and for the first time in the Asian region, you are the first regional president to offer $90,000 as a donation to True Parents from the Asian region. That report was really, this is something that never happened before. And I was really moved by that fact. That is why I really saw the dedication of the members with regards to the unification of the Korean Peninsula. All of Asia, the entire Asian continent must support the providence of the heavenly unified Korea, as I mentioned before. It is the era of the Pacific Rim civilization. It is the Pacific Rim civilization that will embrace the world. Therefore, the realm of Asia must stand at the center, and Asia must come into Cheonilguk. And to do so, I, to you, will give you 70 special clothes that true parents have worn. And I will put 70 garments that true parents wore from the winter to the spring. So that means representing all 4 seasons. And give these garments that true parents wore to the members who have really invested for the providence, those who need, and especially to those who can. Tell them to work for the restoration of the nation. The goal is national restoration. Any nation with the potential for national restoration, they should offer jeongseong and prayers. And also, until now recently, looking at the report of the 4th subregion of Japan, through the grace of true parents, someone who is about to die survived. And reviving Asia is by supporting the providence of the heavenly unified Korea. So, when you go, Mother will give you 70 sets of clothes. Please take it and give it to the members. This is totally, completely unheard of. An amazing blessing that you have received in Asia. As I stood there, honestly, for 48 hours, I was in a state of shock. I think, all the leaders were in a state of shock about this. I can't say I've been to many of these leaders' meetings. I've been to quite a few, but even those that I've heard about or read about, I don't know that such a thing has ever happened. 70. I felt like I was listening, when you read it, I felt like I was listening to the Bible, And I, to you, shall give 70 garments, and with those 70 garments representing the 4 seasons, you shall pass through all the lands of Asia, and you shall bequeath to, it kind of feels like that. But as she was saying it, she was just sitting there as our mother, lovingly sharing calmly and happily. This is totally amazing. Somehow, brothers and sisters, we found a way to offer Hyojang and move True Mother's heart, which has clearly moved the heart of heaven. So congratulations. Give yourselves a round of applause. Hug one another if you're together. Just clap yourself, tap yourself on the back if you're alone. But God bless you. She didn't mention about $1,000 donation or something like that. She mentioned about the $7 donation. In fact, the child that broke their piggy bank and gave $13, that blessed child is only 4 years old. Do you understand what we're talking about? Brothers and sisters, we must understand that Hyojang is a blessing for us. It's our salvation, because Hyojang is the most beautiful form of attendance. And we are now in the era of salvation through attendance. And it is a form of love that once anchored in the relationship with our parents, that can expand to everything else. We can't really truly love our spouse, our children, our neighbors, until we have anchored this one with our true parents. So I'm sure you may be wondering many things about this gift. I'm sure. And I'd like to let you know that I'm praying about this. I'm praying with Yumiko on how to best administer this blessing. And of course, we will be praying and discussing with the leaders. But here are a few things to keep in mind. First, you must all understand that this is not just for 70 people. Please digest this as an incredible blessing for all of our nations, no matter what. No matter who receives these gifts, we all receive these gifts. Please just meditate on that. You already have won. You already won by being a part of the offering. Now this is heaven showing us in return. No matter who receives these gifts, this is an unprecedented blessing because you've moved the heart of heaven. In fact, I believe it is a blessing for all members around the world, quite frankly. Okay, second point. Secondly, I believe that this is not something that just came out of nowhere. I believe that True Mother loves us all, and especially she has been longing to bless you in this way, but was waiting for the right conditions. You know, when the baby is hungry, the mother's breast automatically fills with milk. Her body knows this without exception. But if the baby's mouth cannot find the breast, there is no milk given, and the mother feels pain, bursting with desire to feed her child. That is what I felt when True Mother was sharing those words. Not only had she been thinking about this since we gave her this gift. Think about it. She didn't just think about it in this meeting. She came to that meeting already prepared, I'm sure. I wasn't thinking I would get a chance to give a report. But then Mother asked me to report, and I believe actually Mother wanted me to report on this one. But I didn't say anything about the HJ Love offering. So actually she finished our report for us with those words that I just read. Otherwise, nobody would even know about this. The purpose of this gift wasn't to boast to the world or tell other people. It was just to make Mother happy, and it was finished. But she must have been thinking and praying for some time before I was able to come here representing you. Before I was able to come here, Mother was already thinking about what she wanted to do for us. I believe the gift simply triggered some motherly love that she had been longing to express to you. And therefore, I believe that there is even more love in her bosom, even more that she wants to give to you. Okay? So the second point is, this isn't just something random. This is a very clear and deeply thought through gift and a blessing. Okay? Thirdly, this is not just a thank you for your offering. This is a commandment. She has given us heavenly instruction. Heaven has determined that national restoration is possible, and it is our responsibility to fulfill the necessary conditions to bring it about. Mother is setting us straight on the course. She is guiding us to be aware of the centrality of the role of Asia in support of the heavenly unified Korea at this time. She is giving us these precious gifts because she wants to stimulate us to fulfill national restoration, okay? And she is not just trying to stimulate 70 of us. She is trying to stimulate all of us, okay? So feel it. Congratulations. Shout it out. Shout it to yourself. Say it for Asia, all of Asia. Congratulations. So, what is our heavenly blessing and responsibility right now? It's Chombo, substantially Chombo. Asia is now in the center of the providence because we are here to help bring about a heavenly unified Korea. That will be the key to unlocking a heavenly unified world. The victories that we bring here will influence the outcome of our work in Korea in many ways. Yes. By the way, really, really short story, okay? When the regional president of Region 5 in Korea heard the testimony about Asia Pacific One's HJ Love Offering, that same day he immediately shared with all of the members in his region. It's the South region of Korea. And especially the Filipino members were super inspired, apparently, maybe because they're from Asia, right? They were super inspired, so much so that they offered their money also. Immediately that day, they already made a huge donation. And he, on April 27th, the day that Mother shared about her ring story, he used what little time he had in his report, because he hadn't been able to report the previous day. He used his time to report to Mother about that. His report from his region was not so much about last, 3 months activity, but that day's activity, the last 24 hours. He had already been inspired by you, Asia, and he had shared it with his members, and they had already responded. So in other words, like impact. You are making an impact. It's not just, bringing us one smile to Mother, but it will have a ripple effect. And you know that such a thing is possible because we were able to find some way into that part of Mother's heart, and therefore into the part of Heaven's heart that now is multiplying and rippling. So it's a blessing for everybody. It's a blessing for everybody. Yes. So, brothers and sisters, thank you so much. Thank you for sitting through this long message. Thank you for all of those who are working hard to interpret these weekly messages and offer our multiple language caption feeds. I'm here in Korea now for perhaps another 10 days or so. We're going to wait here until the victory celebration on May 10. And hopefully on that day, we will be able to offer to True Mother the hard work of our leaders and members in Asia. Seven newly minted and printed beautiful books in 7 new languages of Mother's life. So guys, this is already a huge offering, Hopefully we will have the chance to, physically be there. But I'm not waiting for anything. Look, I'm excited that if Mother calls us and I have to go through 100-day quarantines to represent you here, I will. It's not important. The reason we're here is to make the shortest possible distance between Mother's heart and your heart. So any hour, any day that I have a chance to be here close to Mother, I'm ready, I'm on call. And in the meantime, I'm with you, and let us continue to do what we're doing, because I think we're kind of on the right page, okay? We're on the right page, we're going the right way. And now Mother is really going to be looking to us substantially to bring about results. But it's not just something we can pluck from a high, faraway tree through some random act. We will bring about a great change when we simply lay down the conditions for heaven to work miracles, just like this has proven. And as blessed family members, especially Family Federation is the core, the heartbeat, okay, of the Heavenly Parent Holy Community. What is our responsibility is Chombo. So you already know, I've invited already many of you to pre-register. We haven't opened registration yet, but we will soon be setting the date. And so now you can pre-register to be a part of the 120-day Chombo Challenge in Asia Pacific One. And I promise you, you are going to be blown away and changed through this. We will work through it together hand by hand, day by day, week by week. And you will see heaven unfolding miracles in your life, because heaven has already deemed it. Heaven's breast is full of blessing for you, brothers and sisters, waiting to bless you, waiting to feed you. All we have to do is try and find the precise rhythm of God's heart, of our true parent's heart. And we get there, okay? We get there step by step, day by day, closer and closer by practicing Hyojang, because Hyojang has the power to move the heart of heaven. In response, heaven has told you, I shall give you 70 garments that true parents, the only begotten Son and daughter of humankind, the only ones in human history, these precious clothes that they will give you. Because you moved the heart of heaven. And you know, it's not just about the clothes. To me, even the clothes are absolutely priceless. Priceless. There are some members that might pay $1 million for one. And that's now. You know, what about 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now? What about after mother passes? How precious these clothes are. But honestly, I can say that even more precious than the physical objects, of which there may only be 70 sets, even more precious than the physical objects is the idea, the heart, the fact that mother even thought of it and did it. Come on, you can't compare the physical material, physical fabrics that true parents wore. That is the outer thing. But you have to first capture and harvest the inner thing, the heart, the idea. The blessing has already been given to you. You don't need to wait for me to come with another 10 suitcases full of clothes to believe it. Brothers and sisters, this is a blessing for the cosmos. This is a blessing for the world. This is a blessing for all regions. It's a blessing for all of Asia. It's a blessing for Asia Pacific 1. It's a blessing for all 20 nations in Asia Pacific 1. It's a blessing for all centers, for all families, for all of us who are connected to the Heavenly Parent Holy Community. And please mark my words, as we advance forward in the providence, let us continue to unite as one and bring the heart of Hyojung in everything we do, even if we don't understand it at first, even if we don't believe it at first. Let us unite and march forward. Believe me, please. I promise you, if we do so, just like I promised you before, heaven will respond in the right way, in the way that you need. So with this blessing of 70 garments, let us wake up anew. Let us revive Asia. Let us go even further, even deeper, even more lovingly. Let us embrace our spouse, embrace your children, share this story with them. Pray with them for your own insight as to what it means, and make your determination from today. Absolutely march forward. We are already in Cheonilguk, it's just time to build it. Let us reclaim these nations one by one, in Asia Pacific 1, and Asia Pacific 2, all of the regions. Let us claim it all back for Heavenly Parent and true parents, guys. True Mother's only with us for a short time. So how we can do that is by fulfilling Chombo. And through this, we will continue. We will continue. And we will continue to read Mother's book. And we will continue to translate Mother's book in every language. I swear. I promise. I promise, I promise, I promise. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you for your attendance to this message. Thank you for your love and investment for true parents. You moved the heart of heaven with your Hyojung. So congratulations. Study it. Study that taste, because that's the taste we need to develop and practice daily. Adieu. Thank you. Adieu. Congratulations.